So I've done a short agenda today just to sort of lay out what you expect to learn by my short session. So firstly, what is a webinar? Some tips, the resources that Zoom offer, Zoom price plans, the basics, screen sharings, hosting, and like I said, hopefully some questions and answers at the end. So what is a webinar? A webinar is an online meeting platform designed for collaboration, training and technical support. Features include sharing whiteboards, screens, videos and audio. The Basic and the Pro Zoom allow up to 100 participants, and I personally use the Pro Zoom, and we'll come on to that in a minute. So out of the other webinar platforms, you might recognise some. So WebEx, Skype, Join Me, Zoom, GoTo, Zooto, EZ Talks or Ease Talks, I'm not sure how that's called, and Carl mentioned another one earlier. Pretty much they're all the same. They provide webinar facilities. I'm familiar with Zoom, WebEx and Skype, and I suspect that they all run in a very, very similar way. So some tips before you join. Have you tested your camera and microphone? I know before you join a Zoom, there's a pop-up screen that usually comes, or somewhere around there that you can test that your camera and microphone's working. Do you have enough light? Today I'm sitting in an office that I don't normally sit in, and I hope the lights behind me aren't too bright. Are you level with the camera? I mean, people don't want to be looking down at you, look up at you, so, you know, make sure you sort of get around the right sort of height. What's around you? Is it suitable? Are you at home? Is there kitchen around you? Is there washing? You know, just sort of that stuff. And we all remember the guy that was doing his live link from home when the child came in and the nanny came in and grabbed them. You know, is that going to happen to you? And what would you do if that happened? And lastly, are you dressed suitably? What impression do you want to give if you're going to turn your camera on? There are just some basic things really to think about. So firstly, I just wanted to say, when you log on to Zoom as zoom.us, this is their landing page. And on the top right-hand corner of the black ribbon, there's the resource button. And if you click that, you get the drop down, and it has all of these amazing tutorials. You can read, you can watch, whichever is the best way that you learn, they're all on there. And I've looked at some of those this week. Also, another thing to note is that this week I am aware that Zoom have extended some of their free services from their free platform, and I don't quite know what they are because I'm not part of the free platform, but I think that they've extended some of the time that you can have when you've got 3 or more people in your meeting. So now I'm going to go to the live page and set up a meeting. And I really hope that this is the level that most of you want to be seeing. So I'm just going to change the screen that I'm sharing. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, so this is me. This is almost my home page. When you've got an account, this is how it comes on the online version. I can't show you via the app because I'm talking to you via the app and I couldn't run a dual screen. So I'm just going to talk you through scheduling a meeting. So obviously you click on meetings on the left and you click schedule a meeting. You change the topic to whatever you want it to be called. So I'm going to call this Zoom test. The meeting description, meeting setup. This bit here, the when and the time and the duration, that's all self-explanatory. The time zone, some of my meetings I'm setting up for someone else and they live in another part of the world, or so I set the time zone according to wherever they're going to be. That just helps. That's something that you might need to be sort of be aware of. Registration. Personally, I would imagine for most people, they won't need to know how many are joining because they potentially won't be getting up to the 100 participants that comes with the basic and the pro accounts. But if you do want people to register, you would tick that required button there. Meeting ID, I prefer to leave it to generate automatically. because it generates a different number every time. And if you use your personal meeting ID, potentially somebody could click on an old link and join your current meeting. Similarly, with require meeting password, I uncheck that box. The reason being that if somebody accidentally joins my meeting, they might find it interesting. Great. They might accidentally join and find it not interesting and leave. But I personally, unless you're doing something that is confidential, I would always leave that box unticked. Similarly, with the video section, I choose off. So when people join, the video is automatically switched off. I leave it for them to decide whether they want to be viewed immediately or not. And I'll show you shortly how a participant will put their camera on if you haven't already found that out for yourself. Audio, again, leave it with both. You want people to join however they can, by their phone, their computer, their tablet, whatever method is best for them, you want them to be able to join. As the same with the location, if you want people, that people are dialing in from different parts of the country, you can select them here. They drop down on the right-hand side and you click save. And this now says that people are dialing in from United Kingdom and 2 other countries. And when we click save, you'll see where that becomes relevant. The meeting options, I leave all of those unchecked. If people join before the host, that's fine. If it's a smaller meeting, 2 people, 3 people, they might want to have a chat before you get online. They can introduce each other and all of that stuff. So I never tick that box. Again, mute participants on entry, I don't do that. Most meetings that I would set up, and I would imagine most people set up, would not be going for the higher end number. So I wouldn't click enable waiting room. And literally you click save there and a box, or then it comes up with different ways to add it to your calendar. So if you're in a company and you're all using the same version, you might want to choose one of these 3 options. But I'm a freelancer and people that I'm dealing with, we're all using different platforms, different versions. So I don't choose that method. Hang on, I just need to move something on my screen. I choose this one, copy the invitation. When you do that, it then brings up this screen here that you can all see. This is the important bit. This is the link that people click and to join your meeting when the time's ready. And here is the numbers if they're just going to join by phone. If you hadn't ticked the other boxes, the only numbers that show would be United Kingdom. And then you select copy invitation. It highlights it all. That's copied to your clipboard. And then you go to your diary, or you go to whichever version you're going to send your invitations out from, and people get access to that. So I'm just going to go back to my presentation now. Bear with me. So I talked about the plans, again, the free plan and the basic, the pro plan. I use the pro plan. It's £11.99 a month plus VAT, so maybe about £15. The additional features versus the free features is on the free version, you get up to 100 participants, but you only get 40 minutes per more than 3 people, or 3 or more people. I believe that Zoom has relaxed that during the current COVID-19 pandemic that's going on, but I'm not 100% sure. However, the £11.99 version, you get 100 participants. You can have as many meetings as you want for as long a duration as you want. And within that, you get some admin features as well. One of those is that you can change your background, which might be really useful, particularly if you're going to present from home and you need to cover up what's behind you. And also the cost, in my opinion, far outweighs how much you might pay for parking, petrol, time of travelling, and drinks while you're having your actual face-to-face meetings. It pays for itself in my book. So now we're going to talk about joining a meeting. So as I say, you've all joined the meeting. That's really, really good. This is a screenshot of what you would ordinarily get when you've joined a regular meeting, not one of these bigger meetings with panels and everything that Joe and Carl have set up for today. So this screenshot here, on the left-hand side, I've cut off a little bit. This ribbon here is called the meeting controls. And just here and here, in a normal meeting, you would see this would have the audio and the video section, and that's where you would mute yourself or turn your camera off. But as you've probably already tackled that bit, I didn't want to touch that. Here, invite, self-explanatory. If you click on that, you can invite other people by typing in their email address. This here, the participants, remember this is a screenshot. If you click on participants while you're in a smaller meeting or with one host, this here will show the participants up here on the top right of the screen, and you'll see who the host is. When I took this screenshot, Alison was the host, and I'll talk about hosting shortly. If you click on the chat, you've also got the chat box here, on which Carl touched on that here, if there's more than one of you, you would have the drop down and you could have a private chat with one of the members of the group or with everybody. That is a really, really useful function. Also, within the chat, there is the opportunity to raise hand. If there's a lot of you, it's a good thing to do. Sometimes the host might say, does everybody understand? And you might want to raise your hand so that they know that everybody is understanding what they're saying. Additionally, if you've got a question, you can raise your hand. Your question might get answered throughout the presentation, at which point you would then put your hand down. I think that's a really useful thing. There is also recording meetings. You can only record the meeting if you're a host. If you want to record the meeting and you're not the host, you can ask the host permission. Additionally, if you know that it's a subject that's really interesting to you, then you can ask in advance for the host to record it. And most hosts are happy to record and then share their meetings afterwards. That's a really easy, simple thing for hosts to do. And if you want to know how to do that in more depth, just come and get hold of me. The last thing I wanted to talk about was screen sharing. So the screen sharing is this green button at the bottom here. And when you're the host, you click on that and you receive this screen here now that I'm sharing. And that shows you all the pages that you've got open, and you select the one that you want to share and you click share, and that's how that happens. Hang on one sec, let me go back to my notes. Sorry, bear with me.
Hi, Kirstin. This is Carl.
Hiya.
You've got me as well. Just a quick one. I've got a few questions that have come through. I'll ask you at the end, though. I'll let you finish up, and I'll finish it.
Okay.
I'm going to mute myself now. I'll let you carry on. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. No worries. So I'm just going to go back and share my screen now. I'm going to show you the whiteboard. So as I'm the host, you can now all just see, hopefully, a blank white screen. I've got a ribbon at the top, which allows me to type text into it. So here we go. I'm typing some text. It also allows you to draw like you would in Word and those kinds of things. So you can draw, if you wanted to anecdote something, you can do all of that. It's also got some selection of 6 stamps, which I don't know why, but you might find them useful at some point. You can clear it just like that, and they all go, or you can erase them as you go as well. I'm just going to go back to I'm going to also, one of the questions was how to share videos. So I've preloaded a video on YouTube. It's a coronavirus song, which I only became aware of this morning, but literally you have it sitting ready in the background and you press play. So that's how you do that. So anything that you might want to share during your webinar, Zoom, whichever platform you're using. You get everything ready in the background. You can literally just go along and share it. So like I say, when you're doing your sharing, if you're the host and you want to share, when you've clicked the green button, you get a selection of all the windows that you've currently got open, and you choose which one you want to go with. I just thought that we might have, I had planned to share the hosting, but I don't think we can, because this is set up differently to how I would normally do it. But so what you would do if you were hosting is, I'm just going to share my screen again. 2 seconds. So when you're the presenter and you want to share host, you've got your participants that will appear on the top right hand side of the screen, and you click on their name. So I took this screenshot where I clicked on Alison's name, and you get 2 boxes up. One says mute or unmute, the other one says more, and gives a drop down to make host. Once someone's a host, they've got all the facilities that we've got. They can record, they can share their screen, they can make other people hosts, but you as the main host overall become the main admin. So if your guest host is doing something that you didn't want them to do, you can cut them straight off and butt in, like Carl did a few minutes ago. He just wanted to tell me about some questions, and he was able to do that because ultimately they're running the show here. That's sort of all that I'd planned to show you today. Let me just go back to the screen. There we go. So that's all I wanted really to show you today, was that things that I didn't touch on, and I don't know how I'm doing for time, so I'm sorry if it's super quick or I've gone over. The additional features that I haven't talked about is adding meetings directly to calendars, which I can do if you're in a larger organisation and you're all using the same system. There's also breakout rooms, which is amazing, especially if you're holding a day-long webinar and you've got breakout sessions, and you can funnel people off into the room relevant to the workshop that they're going to do. That is a paid-for platform. It's not free on any, as far as I'm aware, on any of the packages, but there is a 30-day free trial, which it might be something that you want to do, especially if you were planning a whole day long with breakout sessions during this current sort of situation that we're in. I think that's everything that I needed to cover with you, and I'm happy to